What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of What the Elle. I'm your host, Elle Kramer, and today I'm taking it mobile. I'm taking it outside with you. And if you are on Spotify or watching this on YouTube, you can see that I am outside. I'm sitting on a little bench. There is a lake behind me, and I was trying to plan to sit by the lake because I love water and stuff, and it's awesome. But there's nowhere to sit, and I didn't realize that until after coming here. I was like, "Oh, this would be a cute little spot to record a podcast." So here I am, doing that, and I do feel a little bit of anxiety because there are people walking around, and I'm just like some random girl having a tripod with a camera and a computer, and I'm recording myself talking. Like, what is this girl doing? But also, like, who really cares? Like, who cares? So here we are. So today I really wanted to talk to you guys about friendship breakups and just friendships in general because I think I'm very blessed in the friendship department. I have great friends, but I have had my fair share of going through friendship breakups. And for some reason, friendship breakups feel worse than actual breakups themselves because usually it ends in a dramatic and like hurtful way. At least in my cases, it has. I've only really experienced, actually, I've experienced my first friendship breakup in eighth grade with one of my best friends. We just had a falling out, but we're actually still friends today. Like we're still good. Like we talked it out. We didn't talk until like sophomore year of high school. And that's also important. Sometimes you just need time. Like just because you and your friend end up having a falling out doesn't mean that you'll never speak again. And I think that is important. And I think it's really hard to be on either ends. I think it's hard to be the one having to end the friendship and the one or being mutually ending it or just not speaking again. And that's like something else that has happened too. But me and my best friend, we stopped talking because we just had like a lot of different she was just going through stuff in her life and I was going through stuff in mine, and I don't know. It was stupid eighth grade like bullshit. Like I don't know. I don't know what we were fighting about. That was like 12 years ago. I don't even know. 12 years ago? I don't know. Concept of time doesn't make sense to me. But the thing is, like, we ended up talking it out and figuring it out. But that's not always the case. I had another friendship my sophomore year while me and that other girl weren't friends. Like, we became super close, but we just ended up not we were just very different people, and I came to realize that I just felt like she was very negative towards me and always trying to put me down, and everything was always about her. Like no, there was never any questions asked about me, and those were all things that I like realized. I was like, this friendship just feels like it's constantly bringing me down, and I didn't know how to deal with the fact that she was like my really close only friend at the time, and I also had a boyfriend at the time. So I wasn't very good at balancing friends and boyfriend, and that's a whole other topic. Like that took me a lot of practice, that balancing your relationship with your boyfriend, and hopefully I do a good job of that now, because I never want to make anybody feel like that. Because my freshman year my freshman year of high school, I dated this one guy, and he just basically was like told me to alienate all my friends, and I listened to him because I just wanted his approval. And so I didn't really have any friends, but I had this one friend, and that was that girl that me and her ended on bad terms because I don't know, I think it was just a very dark time in my life also, and I think that came with a lot of just a lot of negativity, and I don't know, we just ended up not being we just stopped talking one day, and we had another conversation a few years later, but it was so hard for me to end that friendship because I truly cared about her, but it just felt like it wasn't working out anymore. Like it just felt like it wasn't serving me in the way that I needed, and it felt like it was like I was just constantly getting put down instead of having any positive affirmation from her, which is not healthy. If you are in a friendship and they just are constantly bringing you down and making you second guess yourself, and they're just not being good to you in general, like it's okay to cut them off. And that was something I had to realize. It's not easy to do. Cutting off friends is one of the hardest things. It might be harder than breaking up with somebody, in my opinion, because you never want to do that. Like, what do you do when you lose a friend? Like your best friend. She was my only friend at the time. So I was just like, what do I do with this? Like, who do I go to now? Like, I don't know who to go to. And I just felt very isolated and depressed after that. But then afterwards, I met a ton of great people. And I think sometimes you have to make space for the right people to come into your life. And whenever I ended that friendship, I was able to make space for the next people who entered my life and became my best friends. And we're still friends to this day. But that's not to say that me and another girl, we almost came very close to our friendship. We didn't speak for months because we just, me and my best friend, we lived, well, not for months. We just had like, we just lived together. And sometimes whenever you live with your best friend, that's not the brightest idea, because we're very very alike. And being super alike, it's, and we were in the same sorority, we were in the same like living situation, we were always going to the gym together, doing everything together, going eat together, you name it. And so there's just no separation, and I think that was unhealthy because it wasn't like we meant to do that, it was just circumstantial, that's just how it happened. But looking back, like, I wouldn't live with my best friend again because it does bring some negativity into your life if you don't know how to communicate well together. And we didn't know how to communicate well together, and so that almost ended our friendship. But once we were able to figure out, once we just basically stopped living together and had time apart and like had time to talk about it, we were both fine. Like, that was literally it. Just don't live with your best friend. That's the main principle of that friendship breakup, which wasn't even a friendship breakup because we're still friends. But another thing about friendship breakup, like, what do you do whenever your friend, both of your best friends are like not talking to each other, and like you're in the middle, or it feels like that? Like, what do you do with that? And that was something that I've had to deal with over, I guess, the course of the last 2 years, which has been really hard because I love both of these people individually, but they both don't have the same um narrative on the situation, and that's fine. But I'm the middleman, and I love both of them separately, and one it's hard to see that because both of these friends, they had their own friendship breakup between them. And watching your two closest friends like have a friendship breakup in front of you, and you can't really do anything about it except just support both of them and try to be a team player, because that's what I tried to do. Like, I don't want to spread I don't want to make the situation worse. I don't know how to make the situation better because it's not my situation to fix. Like, they have their own problems that they need to solve, and that's on them, and that's it's not my place to get involved. Did that rhyme? I think that did. But friendships, like, I think that was whenever I realized, like, the low maintenance friendships are the ones that are the best, because even though that you don't talk every single day and you live different lives, you still have that connection and you can just pick up where you left off. And those types of friends are the ones that you want to hold on to. Like, those childhood friends that you don't see every single day who probably live in a different city than you, those are the people that you want to stick with, because those people are the easygoing ones who just get it and understand that life comes up sometimes and you're not always going to be able to drop everything and go see them, because you just need to find the people who get you. And for a while, I just couldn't find that. Like, I couldn't find the people who just understood me and I didn't have to pretend with. And for a while, I just felt like I was having to pretend. Friendship breakups are like one of the hardest things to go through, because sometimes, like, you have so much history behind the two of you. So how do you end something that you thought was going to be forever, especially in a friendship, like, non-platonic way? And in my life, like, I believe like platonic friendships, like platonic love, platonic soulmates exist, and losing a platonic soulmate is like losing a limb. It is so painful because it's like losing a family member, because you spend so much time with this person investing in them, and then one day it just ends. And it's just like, I think the hardest part about it is breaking that habit and breaking that routine of speaking to them every single day and doing things with them every single day and having sleepovers and FaceTiming and going shopping and doing all this stuff. But like, it's like whenever you don't have that anymore, it's like, what do you do with yourself? Like, where do I go to? Who do I go to? My mom? Like, yeah, I'll probably still go to my mom, but I mean, she just doesn't, she's not my, she's not in high school. I was in high school at this time. I don't want to talk to my mom about boys. Like, that wasn't exciting for me. And so for like the longest time, I was like, how do I find friends who want the same things as me? Because I just felt like a lot of the people that I was surrounded with, like, they didn't want to do the same things as me. Like, sometimes I don't want to go out on the weekends, and there's nothing wrong with going out, but sometimes I want to stay in and like watch Aquamarine and stuff my face with munchies until I'm like physically incapacitated because the amount of food I've eaten is unforsakable. I don't even know if that's a word. If it's not, I just made it one. But I think for a while I was trying to find that in people. I was trying to fit in with people who weren't. It was like trying to fit into jeans that don't fit anymore. I've definitely used that analogy before, but I'm using it again because it's a good analogy. So get over it. Um, like all of these people in high school, I would try to like get into these friend groups, like infiltrate these little friend groups because I was kind of like a little floater. Like I was like one of those girls who would float around until I could find, like, I was well liked and known by everybody, but I didn't have like a best friend for a period of time because like I said, I had a boyfriend, and so that kind of isolated me for a while because I didn't have that boyfriend slash I didn't have that balance between friendships. I was too young and naive to even understand that. Like I was like friends and boyfriend. You can't have one or the other. Like I thought you could just have I thought it was going to be easy, but it wasn't. And I think also it kind of just depends on the person you're with, and like communication is so important. And we just didn't have communication cuz also like at the ripe age of 15, like what are you going to communicate? I don't know. We were just so young. I don't really know how like we could have done better. I mean, no. Mm, it could have been better, but I mean, I don't regret it, and I don't regret the friendship breakups that I went through during that time. But with that, it's so important to have a balance between friends and boyfriends and like, or just relationships in general. Like, you need to make time for the people who make time for you. Like, the people who were there for me before I got a boyfriend, like, I'm not going to just forget about them. And that's like my biggest, like, my worst nightmare is like, making one of my best friends feel like I forgot about them whenever I have a significant other. Because don't get me wrong, there is a time and place to like spend time with your boyfriend and spend time with your friends, but there's also some times in your life when you're not going to be able to make those same core memories if your boyfriend's there. Like, you know, like if I want to go on a girls trip with my friends, the girls might not feel as comfortable if my boyfriend's there because like they might not be doing their like whole running around naked thing around the house, and like they might not feel as comfortable telling stories like late night when we're all drinking wine, like tell personal stories. They might just feel a little bit more closed off because my boyfriend's there, you know, like, and sometimes like you have to make sure that you have that healthy dynamic with your friend, because like with your boyfriend or your relationship with your partner, because if you don't, like, I would don't want to date somebody who doesn't have a life outside of me. Like I would be worried because like who are you hanging out with? Like why don't you have friends? Like what do you do 24/7? Just stalk me or like look at me on Life 360? That's creepy. Like no, I don't want that. I want you to go hang out with your friends, and I want to go hang out with my friends. And like of course I want to like have all of our friends together, but I mean sometimes you just need to hang out with the girls, and sometimes the boys just need to hang out with the boys, and that's completely fine. Like you need to be able to have that dynamic, because if you don't have that dynamic, your relationship will probably not work out, and it will be unhealthy, and you will end up cutting off friendships, and you will be that friend who goes ghost whenever they get into a relationship, and you don't want to be that person. That's like literally the worst thing ever. We've all had that one friend who went ghost mode, and I think I went ghost mode at one point, but that was because like my ex-boyfriend was controlling. I'm not trying to make excuses, but also like that was like literally 7 8 years ago. I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, so like how am I supposed to remember what I did 7 years ago? Not saying that you should do that, but I'm just saying learn from your mistakes. If you have been that person, like don't be that person ever again, because that is the worst feeling whenever you spend all this time and effort putting like into your friendships, and then they just forget about you once they get into a relationship. Like where's the loyalty? Like okay. And then they come, the worst is whenever they break up and then they come crawling back to you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, let's hang out. Let's go to the movies. Let's do all this. Let's do all that." And I'm like, "Girl, where have you been? you've just been sitting over there with Kyle, going to everything with him, and you forgot about me, and now you just want to come up and pull back and just be like, act like everything's fine. It's not. That's not fine. I'm not cool with this. You shouldn't be cool with this either. And at least have a little respect for me. And if you did do that, like, maybe say something and acknowledge the fact that you were kind of a shitty friend for a period of time. And like, I get it. It happens. Sometimes you're just so wrapped up in your situation, like in your romantic endeavors, that you just get blinded, and it's hard to know if what you're doing is like the correct thing, because sometimes there are controlling partners. Like, that is such a thing. Like, you can have a controlling partner and they'll try to cut off all of your friends and be like, no, that person's not good for you. But you need to make sure that you can see through that. Like, if you're with somebody who's controlling you, like, you don't want to do that either. Like, you want to be with somebody who also has that healthy dynamic with their friends and can still go and do fun boy stuff or fun girl stuff with their partner or with their friends. Because at the end of the day, you will always like, you don't want to let a boy come between you and your girlfriends. Same goes for guys. Like, that's just not something that's cool. And yeah, that's all I think I have for you guys today. um I'm just literally sitting in Dallas, Texas right now, just chilling. I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick little advice session, and if you want more like this, let me know. I love doing episodes like this. It's very therapeutic and reflective for me. I like to look back at my past relationships and past experiences and see what I did wrong and what I can do better for the next one. And I think it's also important to look back sometimes, but I sometimes get stuck on the past, and that's where I that's where my insecurities come from, is the past. So I think it's important to, whenever you're in a relationship, like, just make sure that you know your partner is not your ex. Like, they did not inflict the trauma or the pain that your ex did on you. And it is important to be like, hey, like, this, whenever you do this, like, it really triggers me because so and so did this to me in my first relationship. Like, so please, whenever that comes up, like, don't do it again. Like, there's a healthy way to explain that, but you shouldn't make your partner feel unworthy of love and make them feel like, you shouldn't put the things that your past relationships did to you on your current relationship, because that's just not fair. And yeah, I think that's all I have to get today, guys. I think I'm going to do some more episodes outside, maybe some on the beach. I really want to go back to the beach. I really miss the beach. So yeah, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, maybe leave some questions, and check out my YouTube channel, check out my Instagram, check out my Spotify or my TikTok. Everything's tagged below. And with that, I will see you guys next Friday. Love you. Bye.